In other place, the scene starts with the castle in flames, as it is engulfed by destruction. The chaos around is felt with intense sounds of cracking and explosions. In a different setting, a calm and seemingly unaffected scene unfolds in a room with a man sipping tea. His calm demeanor is in stark contrast to the chaos outside. He is identified as Abel, with a companion named William. William, surprised by the calmness of the situation, comments on how Abel can drink tea despite the ongoing crisis. Abel replies casually, mentioning that it is just a moment to observe the situation. The two discuss the blessings rite and a certain awakening that is of great interest to them. As the conversation flows, it's clear that there are things afoot beyond the crisis. As they plan to visit someone soon, perhaps someone related to the upcoming events, Zeke is reflecting on his status and the results of his recent victory. He opens a status window, surprised by the high-level skills that have been unlocked in him after his intense battle. It shows his rapid progression in abilities like healing and critical strike, which he's already mastering. Zeke is feeling both amazed and perplexed about the growth he's experienced, especially in comparison to his previous life as a low-rank knight. After a moment of contemplation, Zeke receives a message from Decker, a figure who informs him about the upcoming events. He's been given a deadline of 2 hours to prepare, signaling an important event on the horizon. Zeke's attention is drawn to the looming journey ahead. As the time for the blessing rite is approaching, where powerful individuals are expected to gather. As the scene shifts, the narrative zooms in on the Draker family's main estate, which is famous for its historical and legendary significance. The blessing rite is a deeply important event there. A large ceremonial procession occurs, and Zeke is aware that he's under scrutiny from powerful figures. Even as he quietly contemplates his future role in the proceedings, the main event begins with the announcement of the blessing rite. Zeke, who feels the weight of the situation, wonders about the potential disruptions caused by his newfound position and ability. As the ceremony proceeds, Zeke tries to maintain control over his emotions, even as unexpected figures, such as Abel, a prominent figure in the family, make their entrance, adding tension to the unfolding drama. Zeke's aura is awakened. He feels a strong surge of energy emanating as though he's unlocking more power. Acknowledging the event, Zeke internally compares his previous experience to the current one, reflecting on how everything feels different this time around. As Aaron's turn is called, there's a moment of anxious excitement in the room. The lights glow intensely, signifying that this is no ordinary awakening. There's talk of a rare occurrence, the kind where those with special abilities, like mana inhibition, are revealed. These are individuals who can suppress magical energies, a trait that makes them even more dangerous. Reina, now the center of attention, is about to face a powerful transformation. The scene shifts to the reactions of those around, discussing what might happen next. The family head is seen reacting to the moment, acknowledging the power contained in this rare transformation. As the red lights intensify, it is clear that this will be a significant event for Reina's future. As the blessing continues, we shift from Reina's moment to focus on Zeke, whose turn has come. Zeke, with a determined expression, steps forward. The audience is curious and tense, awaiting what will happen next. They all anticipate a great spectacle, as Zeke's status in the family is highly regarded. As Zeke takes his place in front of the magical lamps, the tension in the air becomes palpable. These lamps are enchanted to react to the user's mana, and they glow in response to Zeke's presence. There is a distinct shift in the atmosphere, a crackle of magic charging the air. The crowd collectively holds their breath as the lamps begin to glow, signaling the start of his awakening. The lights from the lamps turn fiery red, which is a clear indication of a pure-blood awakening. Zeke stands tall and resolute, absorbing the magic that surges around him. The ceremonial energies swirl around him, empowering him. The ancient dragon's blessing, which has been sealed within his soul since birth, begins to activate. Zeke calmly accepts the transformation, his face betraying no emotion despite the incredible power that is now surging through him. His mastery over this energy is already beginning to show. The audience, however, is not just watching his physical transformation. They are witnessing the rise of someone who will likely change the course of their world. Amid the visual spectacle, the ceremony screen confirms Zeke's new identity. The audience is in real shock because they don't understand why there is yellow and red lights. Zeke doesn't want to attract attention, so he is not talking for it. Abel speaks up to the audience to embrace the two pure-blood awakening. He asks the audience to celebrate this event. The guest realizes this and starts to celebrate. Abel asks the instructors to go and get a glove to the newest member. Zeke wears it, and it appears that is quite hefty. Zeke understands Abel's intention and feels like shit that is accepting his help. As the event closes, everyone goes to party except Zeke, as he is trying to go to a training room. Zeke is summoned for a more intimate interaction as Abel approaches him with a smug grin, inviting him to shake hands. Zeke, though hesitant, reluctantly agrees, all the while internally mocking the situation. Abel's joviality doesn't fool Zeke, who finds the gesture distasteful but plays along to maintain his image. With the handshake uncompleted, Abel comments on Zeke's unusual response, brushing off Zeke's discomfort and preparing to further assert his influence. Meanwhile, Zeke struggles with the interaction, hiding his disdain as he watches Abel move on to the next part of the event. The audience continues to murmur, recognizing Zeke's potential and the power in his veins. Zeke is visibly relieved as he breathes out deeply, commenting to himself that he almost suffocated in a confined space. He looks around and realizes he is fine, but his thoughts shift to the fact that pure-blood awakenings all have the ability to inhibit mana. This is something that sets them apart from regular individuals, as the ability reflects their opposition to dragons, the source of mana. Zeke reflects on his situation and remembers that if he had been a pure-blood, he would have been facing some challenges with mana lamps. But he notes that there were no issues with the lamps due to the nature of his abilities, leading him to think that something isn't quite right. He proceeds to open a window displaying his class stats, revealing that he now has a unique class, Immortal, bestowed by the blessing of the ancient dragon. He continues to analyze the system window, noting his newly unlocked skills. Among them, mana reflection catches his attention, while the healing abilities are expected. The reflection of mana is categorized as a skill, not a passive trait. Further investigation leads him to understand that while mana lamps were unaffected, a significant loss of class-related data was evident in the system's classification, terminal. He muses about how his awakening wasn't registered under the expected classification, and this confusion grows as the terminal's system attempts to classify him further. As he digs deeper, Zeke's curiosity peaks, leading him to unlock his draconian skills, including Dragon Eyes and Might of the Dragon, both of which enhance his sensory and combat prowess. With the unlock of these skills, Zeke begins to understand more about his potential. In the following moments, Zeke tests his newfound power by activating the Dragon Eyes skill, which reveals detailed information about his surroundings. However, while it provides more clarity, it doesn't change much in his immediate perception. He sees a statue in the garden and realizes it might be more useful than it first appeared, hinting at further possibilities for him to explore. Zeke, now outside and testing the limits of his newly acquired powers. He stands still, momentarily confused as his abilities seem to trigger in unexpected ways. Zeke is still figuring out his powers, looking at an object with curiosity and a slight sense of confusion. A window appears with detailed information about the object, listing its origins and construction materials. Zeke's face contorts in surprise, unable to comprehend why he is receiving such data on simple objects. The overwhelming influx of information gives him a headache, and his body reacts, his fiery eyes showing his unease. He wonders aloud if all draconian abilities are this taxing. Zeke activates several class skills. He inadvertently triggers Vigor Recovery, which begins to show its effects. He sits down, looking slightly overwhelmed, and wonders why healing, which he didn't intend to use, was activated instead. The abilities around him seem to function passively. Zeke, now fascinated, tests the system, further by applying his healing factor to a self-inflicted wound. When he cuts himself, his injury rapidly heals in front of him, leaving him even more in awe of the overwhelming power he now possesses. Zeke's thoughts turn more practical as he contemplates the Academy's lengthy journey and his accelerated plans. Determined, he resolves to finish it. all within 2 years instead of 5, expressing his newfound confidence in the process.